Back at Kia of Anniston and Oxford for another edition of Coach Sam Adams Show. And we always love doing this here at Kia of Anniston and Oxford. And so does the train, right on time. We dealt with that with the show last year, Coach, so obviously we don't care about the train.
That's right.
We care about the message. But these guys do a great job here, and if you're interested in buying a new car, definitely come see the guys here at the Kia store of Anniston and Oxford. They'll always take care of your needs, trade-ins, whatever it may be. Coach, we've come and visited you guys. We came out and did a picture shoot with your guys recently. A lot of enthusiasm. These guys was fired up. This was on the eve of last week's Jamboree. You guys took on Fort Payne. Had a pretty good showing last week. I know you got some good film off that.
Yep.
Take us back to last week in this Jamboree game with Fort Payne.
It was a good night for us. We played the first half was normal varsity football, everything live and wide open, and jumped out to a pretty quick lead on them. Our defense forced a turnover on the first drive of the game. James Tapley picked the ball off and set us up on about the 20-yard line. And offensively, I think we were really efficient for the first three drives of the game. We jumped out 21-0, and then we got a little bit sloppy at that point. Still ended up 21-0 at the half with the varsity guys. And then the third quarter was started playing some backup kind of guys, and then fourth quarter was straight JV. And altogether ended up 28-3. So that was a really good night for us, and did have some mistakes in there. It's going to happen in every game, but especially early season type games. So hopefully, getting to experience that live for the first time on a Friday night will pay off this week. We'll be a lot cleaner.
Let me ask you a question. What were some of the questions you got answered? Some of the things you were really looking to see once the bullets started flying, so to speak.
So we're breaking in 3 new offensive linemen, and we still have some guys kind of fighting it out for one of those spots. And we got to see, the guys really respond well to a different kind of a defense than we play against in practice on a daily basis. You hit a point in the preseason where you're so used to playing against yourself, and we're a 3-man front. Fort Payne's a 4-man front for almost every snap of the game, and adjusting and understanding the different alignments was going to be huge for us. And I thought, generally speaking, we did pretty well on that. And we have one new starter in the defense, well, 2 new starters in the defensive backfield, and 2 new guys at outside linebacker, and I thought those guys played pretty well. Obviously, at every position, when the game's over, you're going to have some plays where you're like, I wish I could do that one over again. Yeah. But it was a positive experience for the guys, and it was, as a head coach, it was right there in that little sweet spot. If we did a lot of good things that we could praise them on, but we also had a handful of things that we kind of hammered them on and let them know that we got to be able to make those corrections moving forward so we don't make the same mistakes again next week.
What about defensively? What were some of the things that you got answered in that game?
So we had James Tapley moved over. He started for us last year at tight end. This year he's an inside linebacker, and seeing him make that play early in the game was really great. The defensive front, I thought played really well. Those guys are all really experienced. I think we had a sack from all 3 of those positions on our defensive line, and 2 new outside linebackers in Des Whitson and Jais Fleming, and those guys had success in the game. Probably didn't play quite as consistent as we'd like for them to, but in some ways that's to be expected. But I know those guys will learn from it and be a little bit better this week.
Coach, coming into this week right here, you're facing a team that, I got to looking at this, I didn't really believe it, but Oxford hasn't got a W against McAdory.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
0-4. Last year, you guys fought hard in that game. It was early on.
Mm-hmm.
You had some guys you was plugging and playing to get that, the right combination of guys. But when I seen that Oxford hadn't beat McAdory, it's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I know this game's got to be circled for you guys.
Yeah. It's we talked about that briefly. Most of those games were pretty far into
that
the,
one Bo
into
Jackson
the past.
played.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They had one playoff matchup with them in around 2014-15-ish, somewhere in there. Then, of course, last year, we came up short. It was really, I a handful of crucial plays that decided the game. I mean, they got us by 2 touchdowns. We threw an interception in the end zone. Had another time where we had to kick a field goal down there deep, and gave up a handful of just explosive plays on defense, and that was really the difference in the game. So I think it was one that had we made those plays, then it would have gone in our favor. But McAdory's a good team. They've always got really good players, and Coach Holmes, their head coach, is a good friend of mine. We were on the staff together at Hoover back in 12 and 13, and I know he does a really good job with them.
Coach, what is it from these guys? I know you've watched some film on them, and I know you played them last year, but what is it about McAdory sticks out to you?
Well, the same thing that stuck out over the last 10 years against those guys. They were, when I was at Hillcrest prior to coming to Oxford, they were in the region with us every time. So generally they're really talented, but even the years where they might hit a little lull in talent, they're still going to play extremely fast. They're still going to be extremely physical, and that's just the way that they're born over there. I mean, it's just
in their DNA.
It is. It's in their DNA. So I know they have some really talented guys. I have 2 receivers that'll be a handful for us. One's a receiver / tight end. That's I think he's about 6'6". Got good ball skills. So anytime you're matching up with a guy that tall, that can obviously create some problems for you. Defensively, they don't have a lot of returners coming back. There was maybe 3 to 4 off of last year's defense, so they're breaking in some new guys too. But they played Vestavia in the spring game, which is a team that's going to give you tons of formations and tempo changes and all that. So they know what it feels like to go against a pretty good team. And I know just they got a kicker that's back from last year that has the ability to put it deep in the end zone at times and make them from pretty far out on his field goals. So I mean, there's challenges they present really across the board, and we just got to be ready to be well prepared so that we don't give them anything easy.
No doubt. Coach, this time last year, you had a bit of a quarterback battle going in. Mason ended up playing quarterback and having an outstanding year. I know everybody's important on this team, but that guy's really important on this team to keep them upright and healthy.
Yeah.
But talk about Mason Mims from last year heading into the season with his mindset and attitude to this year where he's got to hold the full offense, the full reins, and there's really not much he can't do at the quarterback position.
That's correct. Physically, he's had one of the best off seasons I've ever seen a player have. He's up about 20 pounds. He was in the low 180s last year. Now he's about 200. Foot speed has increased. Physical strength has increased, which increases his velocity on his throws. He can make more throws this year than he could last year just from an arm strength standpoint. There's really no throw that he can't make now, whether it's field or boundary, deep or short. His strengths continue to be his strengths. That's just processing information really quickly and getting the ball where it needs to go, and not getting caught with the ball in his hand. So he is definitely he's the most advanced quarterback that I've ever coached in that part of the game. Now he's definitely still a pass first guy, but the way we talk to him, he has to be a willing runner at times. He's got to be able to make plays with his legs and get us a couple first downs a game, and that was something that he's really worked on in the off season. Whereas last year he was a little maybe hesitant to scramble with it at times. But we feel like we've got a good collection of skill guys around him, and he doesn't have to be the hero every play now. He just needs to be kind of the point guard and understand what space is available to us and get the ball to those guys.
I want to kind of date me and you right here. He's more of a John Elway than a Dan Marino.
He is, yeah, he definitely is. Yes, he is.
The kids are home. Who are they talking about? But you mentioned the weapons. Like, who are some of these guys? I know Judd Sire is one of my favorite athletes in the state. He's got a great attitude. He's a gritty guy, comes over the middle. But who are some of these other guys that really going to step up this year?
So our skill players are pretty much identical to who we had on the field last year, plus a guy or two. So starting receivers, we got Kamari Hampton, who joined our program back in March or April. He earned a UAB offer this summer because of how he played, and they're 7-on-7 in front of their coaches. He gives us an aspect to get up in the air and get down the field, a little more than maybe we have. He'll be jersey number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, he had 1 touchdown in the game against Fort Payne on the ball in the end zone. He returns punts for us and kicks, and really do a lot of
is
things.
explosive.
Very, very. And then our inside receiver is Nick Richardson, who was our leading receiver last year. He was more of an outside type receiver last year.
19?
But he is number 9.
9.
Number
I knew it was a
9.
9, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So moved him into the slot, which is probably where he's a little more tailor-made to play in that position. Judd Sire is the other receiver. Judd can play inside or out. We started him as an outside spot, and then we can kind of move him around from there. But he brings a lot to the table,
Really smart
in a ton of ways. Yeah, he can play several different positions on the field. He may get some action on defense at times too. Then the tight end spots, we really have 2 guys there that we like a lot, and Jaden Lewis. Jaden was an outside receiver last year. Now he's at the tight end spot, which is a lot better suited for him. Nick Hampton, who is Mari's younger brother, is a sophomore, but he'll play a lot for us in the tight end spot as well. And then we have 2 backs that'll be kind of splitting the load back there with Jaden Thomas, who'll be a third-year starter for us. Had his season cut short last year with an ankle injury. Yes, he really brings a physicality to that spot that not a lot of high school kids have. And he's a well-rounded back at the same time. He's got good hands out of the backfield, but protects the passer really well. D.K. Wilson as a returning starter there that's gotten action really for the last 3 years. He can play in the slot some. He can play in the backfield some. And he brings a big skill set to the table as well. So, we like where we are with all those spots.
You got guys like Jaden Lewis. Those guys can go and get it in the red zone. They're big targets, but they can move. I mean, these are guys that can tomahawk 360 duns.
Yeah. Jaden had a big game last week in the Jamboree. He had the first touchdown and caught 4 balls in the first half. And really, I feel like the ball finds the guy that needs to find, depending on what the defense is sort of giving us. He's a guy that against our defense doesn't normally get a ton of targets just because of the style of defense. But last week it presented itself that way, and he made plays every time he had the opportunity to.
He's a gamer. He steps up. The bigger the game, the more he steps up. Let's flip this thing over to the defensive side. Who are some of those guys that you're really looking to hang your hat on?
So our defensive line had a really big night last week. Keenan Britt, he is a rare occasion here, a sophomore starting for the 3rd year. He's had a big offseason, reeled in several offers, added one to the list yesterday with Tennessee.
Dude, that's awesome.
So he's got Tennessee, Central Florida, Auburn, and Arkansas now. Caleb Tenner at the nose. It's been his 3rd year to start at that spot. Definitely the biggest guy on our defense, kind of a space eater type guy at the nose. And Donovan Jones at the other end is a kid that's really kind of waited his time. The senior. He's played some along the way. This will be his first year to, really own that starting position. 2 inside backers. I mentioned James Tapley earlier. Hudson Gilman is a returning starter at the other inside spot. The outside guys, Des Whitson and Jais Fleming. And the defensive backfield, we got Christian Gibson returning at corner. Sed Twyman was a starting corner last year, who's playing mostly safety now. And you got Trey Figures, who'll be starting for the first time at corner. He's had an unbelievable offseason. A little bit of an undersized type guy, but really understands how to play at that size. And he's really good at getting the ball out. He knows he can't, high point it with everybody out there, but he's good at, punching it out on the way down and plays well with his hands. And then the other safety spot, last week we started Darrell Gooden. Judd Sire could be in that spot at times. Tony Hicks. There's several guys that can kind of rotate into that other safety spot, depending on kind of what the game calls for him to do.
Coach Cochran has, what I like about his defensive style is an aggressive attack, and he's not going to sit back and react. He's going to go force the issue.
Yes.
But you got to have Jimmy's and Joe's to do that. You guys do.
That's correct. Yeah, we think we've kind of matched our defense to our guys' skill set a little bit, which you have to do every single year. But we understand where the good matchups are. We understand where some matchup problems can be presented to us, and we have answers in there to try to cover those up along the way.
That's good. That's good. Coach, can't shut this one down without talking about the 3rd phase of football, which is special teams. Tell us about your special teams in this particular team.
So Ray Barrera will be a 3rd-year starter at the place kicker position. He's gotten a lot better each year. Really works extremely hard at it. And I mean, he's been in the fire. He's made some pressure kicks and all that, so he knows what that's like. He's improved greatly on his distance on his kickoffs. And the punter spot, is Hudson Gilman is the first guy that can punt back there, starter, the inside linebacker. And Kamari Hampton has the ability to punt back there as well. Really, we had a great night on special teams last week. I think we had them inside the covered and tackled them inside the 20 on 2 kickoffs, which is a huge weapon.
You guys went live kickoffs?
We did. We went live everything
good.
in the first half. Yep. And really, we put our best guys on those coverage teams. Some of the return teams may try to sub some guys out and get some rest, but I mean, our kickoff coverage guys. I mean, Judd Sire made the first tackle of the game. Kamari Hampton made another tackle. I mean, that's the first play of a defensive series. So, we don't give them any rest for those snaps, just because of the importance of how quick the game can change there. But Darius Gilbert is our special teams coordinator. Is a familiar name around this area. Very veteran coach, has done a fantastic job coaching those guys up, and we hope to be able to excel in special teams and use that as a way to get an edge in every game.
Final thoughts on this McAdory week?
Yeah, it's we have some external weather factors that are playing a part all over the state this week. We do have rules in front of us where if the heat index is over 103, then we can't do everything that we would normally fully do. But fortunately, with us having the indoor facility that we just moved into, we're able to get a lot done inside there and have it not affect us maybe as much as some other teams. But you always worry on these early season games about guys cramping up and being underhydrated and not really fully understanding how to prepare their body to play a 4-quarter game. We expect this to be a 4-quarter game for sure against a team like McAdory. And even though we've gone live against Fort Payne for a half, we've scrimmaged against ourselves a ton. It's different when you get put in those game situations. And really biggest concern that I have is just making sure that our guys are physically prepared to play 60, 75, however many snaps it's going to be to win the game. And I think a lot of coaches across the state are concerned about the same thing.
Coach, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thank these guys again at the Kia store of Anderson, Oxford, for all they do for high school sports. And we will be right back here next week, God willing, with another edition of the Sam Adams Coaching Show.